started implementing a kind of a belt system, if you will, graduation
hmm
from novice, intermediate, kind of advanced level of in-person coaching. Can you walk
hmm
through how you rolled that out, and maybe even
hmm
just a little bit of how you talk to clients even from day one? What
hmm
was this something that you built into your business model and the conversation from the very beginning, or
hmm
how just kind of describe how you manage that with your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had all my one-on-ones, they're separate, but then I had the group people, which was started as a novice class. Hey, you haven't done this before. Let's get you in over this 8 weeks. I'm going to show you everything you need to know about strength training, and I'm going to get you really strong. And that met, I can't remember anymore if it's 2 or 3 days a week. But I needed somewhere to catch them after that. They need to be led into something because they weren't going to sit in a novice class forever because they didn't stay novices, right? And so that's where this intermediate class idea came to fruition, which really they just met me once a week. It was once a week group coaching, and then they got programming for the days they didn't see me. So, say your group was on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, you'd show up at Wednesday, 5 o'clock with your other 6 people or 5 people, run you through the workout, and then I'd program you separately for the other days
And
that you weren't
only
with me.
intermediate people were invited to that time slot.
Right. So you either had done one-on-one with me and you wanted to move to something that maybe costed a little bit less because you shared it with other people, or you'd gone through my novice classes and now you needed somewhere to go.
Do you remember what your like how much the price changed from novice to intermediate?
Well, yeah, because novice was 3 times a week.
Hmm.
So I remember it being more, but I don't remember how much more. I think it was
Yeah.
somewhere on the order of like 225 a month. And
And this
then
is like 7 years
yeah,
ago now. Yeah.
yeah, this is well before inflation crushed everything.
Yeah.
And then the intermediate class, I think it very originally started at 150 per month and went up to 175 pretty quick.
And was that something that they knew about from day one?
hmm
Like they knew they were signing up for this 8 week novice. They could
hmm
repeat another round of 8 week novice,
hmm
but you kind of have created a future state vision for them where
hmm
some point, maybe it's not the first 8 weeks or second, but at some point,
hmm
there's a price break for them, but you actually make better dollar per hour.
hmm
So
hmm
everybody wins in this approach. And
Exactly.
they're mentally prepared to, and probably even looking forward to on some level,
hmm
uh, a little bit lower, fewer touch points. Because at that point, I mean, everybody is, I think,
Yep.
has experienced this. Like you reach a point where you're like, okay, once a week, I'm good. Except for how
Yep.
do you deal with the fact, how do you deal with the problem or the question or whatever you want to call it, that people just want to hang out with you 3 times a week?
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
Or
those
they're
people.
training buddies, if they're in a group class.
Well, that's the beautiful part of the training group is that they do want to hang out with their training buddies, and that's what keeps them coming back.
Hmm.
Right. That's why the group model works so well. It's because they do get involved in that group, and then it's less about the coaching; it's more about the community
Hmm.
at that point. The
So
people
you
that
would
want to be with you one-on-one all the time will push them into your one-on-one training and charge appropriately for that. Right.
gotcha. Would you try to build those intermediate classes with people that had gone through the novice
Yes.
together?
Yes.
Okay.
I would really, it was kind of like a funnel. I think
Yep.
you described it pretty well here shortly, but it's like, I'm going to start a client. They're going to want a lot of high touch. They're going to need a lot of service, and then they're going to need a little bit less, but they still want to be involved. And so how
Right.
do I catch them? Where
Right.
do I put them that they feel like they're still getting value and I'm still getting value out of it? And then as we'll talk as we get into the next gym, like, that's where kind of that next gym comes from as well as, how do I catch them then? Like what if they're done with, maybe they don't need me for intermediate coaching either. And now they're becoming more and more independent. Like, where do we go?
Yeah. I mean, I just in envisioning how this played out, it seems really obvious how you reach capacity real quick because
hmm
now you've got this sustainable intermediate program at a affordable rate.
hmm
But your novice program, all it takes is a few cycles of that before now your intermediate space is capped out.
Yep.
So then where did you go from there?
So then you open a gym, which is exactly what I did. So
Yeah.
I opened Next Level Barbell. And one of the keys being what's the one service I can't offer in this garage space is I can't give you a 24/7 gym space. So
Right.
even if I'm coaching you, I'm sending you off to other gyms. And if I
Right.
send you off to other gyms, I'm sending you off to other potential coaches and other such things as well, right?
Yeah.
Or if I can keep you contained in my space, I can get you trained in, how I want you to, but then also keep you kind of within my business model. So
Right.
that was a big piece of moving to a commercial gym, is that I could open it up in a way that people could access it at any time, which is a big value add for them, without really any additional work on my part. And as you discussed, like intermediates, a lot one on one is a lot of work one on one with my
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Intermediate or novice is a little bit less.
Hmm.
Intermediate's even less. Well, an open gym is zero.
Right. Right. Just overhead of the space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just overhead of the space, right?
How, practically speaking, was that something that people had to graduate into? Like, was getting the key card sort of like getting your black belt? You graduate from intermediate, or how did that work? Did you have like some sort of interview process?
In the beginning of the gym, you had to either do an intro session with me or go through one of the classes in
Okay.
order to have access. It wasn't
Hmm.
just general open. You couldn't just purchase
Sign
access to
up.
the
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these days you can now at this point, but
Mm.
it's all the other programs are running, at kind of full. So,
Okay. So you've got next level barbell, you've
hmm
got still group novice classes, still one-on-one personal training, intermediate and advanced. Is there anything you would want to share to somebody considering that, the lessons learned about how to organize your day? Just, I mean, real tactical. How did you fit the one-on-one with the group training, with the intermediate, with the open key card? Like, that seems to be a
hmm
little bit of a Jenga puzzle to solve, to make sure everybody's got enough time.
Yeah, for sure. Think about it in, at least from a business perspective, what's making you the most amount of money.
Mm,
And so for me, it's small group trainings, and it's not close. The small group, which used to be the intermediate class, and that evolves to what became small group training. We could talk about the differences if you like, but as we move into that model, that makes me the most money, and so that gets the prime spot of the gym, absolutely. And
gotcha.
for me, in my market, prime spot has been 5 to 8 p.m.
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
that
please,
window of time is just money.
please do expand on the what is the difference between small group and, or yeah,
Yeah, so
just
the intermediate, like I said, it met once a week, and then you got programming. The small group, what I did essentially was I have a window of time, and in that window of time, there's a coach on staff that is responsible for the intermediate clients
gotcha.
at that point. And so everybody's programming still independent. They're still doing the things that they want to do. And a coach sort of rotates about the room, making sure everybody's program's going well. And athletes can now pop into, whether they buy limited or unlimited, they can pop into multiple sessions potentially now. So they're not locked into Wednesday, 5 o'clock. You have to be there or you miss it. Shoot, I missed Wednesday. Okay, well, no problem. Come in on Friday or come in on Saturday or whatever windows of time. So it gave them a lot of flexibility.
So this was sort of like, it sounds a bit like an open gym, not really. Like, it's an open gym to that group of people.
Yes.
How do you manage the, like, did you have a cap on the number of people that could be in that window?
Yep. So I had originally I had signups. People would sign up in advance. There were so
Hmm.
many slots because there's so many racks. Through
Hmm.
the years, I realized that people pretty much self-regulate themselves anyway, and I sort of
Mm.
dropped that eventually. If a certain time period gets really busy, people seem to just end up showing up later or earlier
Oh,
or moving to
interesting.
other days. And it's kind of
Interesting.
this own little system. And every once in a while, sure, we'll have a day that's all of a sudden like, oh, dang, there's
Yeah.
so many people here. But even on those days, I've trained my people for so long that I know there are athletes that I can call on to be like, hey, it's really busy today. Would you mind helping out? I know you've done this a long
Nice.
time and you're very skilled, so I can bring them in. And
What does that max out at, like, in terms of number of people per rack? You said seven at next level, right?
next level has 8 racks.
Eight racks. So do you get up to like two or three people sharing a rack, or does it tend to be one person per rack?
Typically, it's one person per rack, and when it gets busy, we'll start doubling up. But
Yeah.
I
Okay.
find, you as one coach, 8 people's pretty good if you want to get a high
Yeah.
level of service. When you start getting past that, um, the service starts to drop a little bit, and that's not always a problem because, like I said, I have those people that have been there for so long that those days they know I'm going to work with the newer people a little bit more,
Right.
and they know that if we'll talk about the virtual side that they can then send me their videos later and be like, hey, I know you were busy, so thanks for checking a look at these.
Right. Yeah. The eight rack, eight client, one per coach has consistently been a sweet spot, both in terms
hmm
of value to the client and uh, price, or whatever revenue that you can get
hmm
per hour for one coach, and then also just cost, the amount of bandwidth that one coach can manage
hmm
reasonably, which is a very common model that kind of And there seems to be a lot of commercial space that's right about that size.
Yep.
So that grows, and now you're,
Yep.
I'm guessing, pretty close to capped out at next level barbell, or you're basically running. Do you have a capacity limit that you try to? In manufacturing, we would build systems
Hmm.
intentionally to run at like 80% capacity, because once you start
Hmm.
going above 80%
Hmm.
capacity, stuff breaks,
Hmm.
things go wrong, maintenance happens, yada yada. Do you have a
Yep.
similar thought process to that with next level barbell, or do you consider yourself limited, or where are you at there?
Yeah, at next level barbell, it's interesting. The coaching side of things, we're at near capacity. So the small groups and the
Interesting.
other such things are near capacity. Like I could bring on just a couple more people and then they'll be completely full. The open gym side, there's actually tons of times at which the gym is not as well utilized as it could be. So
Yeah.
there's plenty of room for open gym or maybe even other independent coaches that want to come in and use the space during my non-peak hours.
Have you started dabbling with that at all? Like people outside of your direct?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I've been doing that for years,
Nice.
and it's a great way to add extra income to your gym for sure. It's just
Hmm.
make sure you get the right people in the space and be protective of your space and make sure that they're actually a good coach too. They don't have to do exactly what you do or believe in what you do, but they have to be a good coach. And as long as they're a good coach, like there's no reason they can't use your space and send you some money, and both people are happy.
So it seems like things are running pretty well at NLB.
Hmm.
Was it just wild ambition in being that wired to always grow kind of personality? What prompted, or what was the tipping point to deciding to
Yeah.
buy a second brick and mortar
So
location?
I guess the goal always was a second one. I'm not sure where it came from or why, but there always was a goal to get a second.
Hmm.
Um, and originally it was going to be a space in Tigard, Oregon. But while I was prepping to launch that space and get ready to bring that space up, an offer just kind of showed up on my table from an old friend of mine that I used to live with and was like, hey, I'm going to be taking off from Oregon and I want to focus on some other business stuff. And this gym is going to be up for sale and I want you to buy it. I was like, well, all right, let's talk, right? So we got into negotiations, and the price absolutely was right. And looking at that business model briefly, it's essentially I saw it was already profitable, and with a couple small adjustments, it could be way more profitable
Hmm.
than it was. So I felt very safe in going ahead and investing the money into that space.
And very different than the next level barbell, right? The next level
It
barbell
is.
is super streamlined, 8 racks, a minimalist
Yep.
accessory equipment, we'll call it.
Hmm.
Talk to me about what Strength Union looks like, and
Yeah,
how you think about that business model.
absolutely. Strength Union is a garage kind of gym, really. It's a warehouse gym. So it's a
Mm,
warehouse space. It's more square in shape. Excuse me. Um, kind of industrial looking, like a black iron gym. You could think of almost like a black iron gym, right?
hmm.
But I did come in, I did kind of streamline how it looked and, put the racks in a space for the coaches and the accessories kind of off in um, another thing. But because of the additional equipment, the little bit extra size, I think it's 2,400 square feet. So just a little bigger than next level. Because of the extra space and the extra equipment, I get a lot more open gym members over there. And also it's Portland. It's actually in Portland and therefore has a considerable amount more traffic and
Hmm.
potential clients. And because of that, the 24/7 gym over there is incredibly popular.
Gotcha. And do you still run the novice intermediate strategy there as well, or do you think about it totally different?
Nope, as immediately. That was one of the things when I looked at their model, the model that from the person I bought it, that I could implement and make more money. I was like, there's not a real good coaching structure here. There's just
Hmm.
a few coaches doing things, and that was the first thing I implemented. Let's get some programs into here that begin funneling people into coaching, and
Awesome.
and that immediately like doubled the revenue of the gym.
Wow.
Like within a few months, I got already pretty much doubled it.
What is, just a bit of a tactical question, what's the drive time between the two locations?
17 minutes.
And do you physically spend time in each every day, or like how do you manage your time between the two?
No, I don't spend it every day because I have coaches that work for me now. So there's a coach that's touching every gym almost every day.
Hmm.
But me personally, I am at Next Level Barbell on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturday mornings, and then I'm at Strength Union on Mondays and Saturday afternoons. Like at a minimum, during those times.
And how do you think about setting your prices now? You know, we The last
Hmm.
time we touched on it was actually really just the beginning where you sort of check the market, offer a little lower.
Yep.
Has your thought process changed at all on pricing now that you're not, growth is not the key driver. You're
Hmm.
full at multiple locations. How do
Hmm.
you think about pricing now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, pricing has to match what your intentions are. And at this point, it's not necessarily growth. Like you said, like growth is still good, but now it's sort of increasing profitability.
Mhm.
And why profitability is also because I can begin to spend more on marketing.
Mm.
So if I can spend more money on marketing than a competitor can, then I can bring in more clients to my service and I can also bring in and charge more for those same clients. So it essentially kind of feeds on itself, right?
Mhm.
If I can afford marketing, I can afford to charge more. And if I can charge more, I can afford more marketing. And so I've
Mhm.
begun to spiral that up in the last year with really good success.
Do you have any specific metrics that you look at to determine how much to spend or whether you're getting that return on your ad spending?
Essentially, I just set a budget of how much I was willing to spend,
Hmm.
and then I increase that budget as my gyms begin to um, uh, be more effective, be more efficient. As I see the revenue going up, I just sort of allocate more and more of that to the ad spend,
Are
and then
you
I look at the ad spend comparatively to other ads. So I'll look at like how's this NLB ad performing, how's this strength union one, and then I'll try to just take the ones that aren't performing well, remove those, and put in new ones in their place.
and then what when you say well, how do you know? Like, can you tell if I spend $100 on Facebook ads, I get 10 clients or something like that? Or is it yeah,
No, I don't think
how do
it's
you
as
evaluate
direct
that?
as that. I think
Yeah.
it's very ethereal. I can compare to where was I last year. I can
Mm-hmm.
compare what my web traffic looks like on my websites. I can
Mm-hmm.
compare how many sessions are being booked. But then, is it that the gym's just more popular this year, or is it that
Mm.
the ads worked? Like, I can't tell you for sure if
Yeah.
that's the case, but I can tell you that the trend is in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I can tell you, like, I set a budget of say $1,000 and suddenly the gym's making 2,000 more dollars. Like I'm guessing some of that came from the ad spend, right?